This is Meet Sean, where we break down real life topics insurance, annuities, real estate, travel planning, and home ownership so you can make smarter moves. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
I want you to picture something with me. It's 2:30 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Okay.
You're sitting at your desk, staring at a spreadsheet that just refuses to balance, and the fluorescent lights are humming that specific frequency that induces a headache.
Ugh, I know that sound.
But mentally, you are not there. You're in a sun-drenched cafe in Lisbon, maybe, watching the tram go by, or you're on a balcony overlooking a mist-covered rainforest in Costa Rica.
The universal daydream, the laptop lifestyle.
Right. And in this fantasy, you take a sip of excellent coffee, you open your laptop, send like 3 emails, and boom, you just made rent.
Hmm.
It's the ultimate escape fantasy.
Hmm.
The idea that travel doesn't just have to be a drain on your bank account, something you save up for 50 weeks a year to do for 2, but it could actually be the source of the income itself.
It is an incredibly seductive image, and for a lot of people, that is the why. You know, financial freedom, location independence, firing your boss to go look at waterfalls.
Yeah.
But as we dig into today's research, we have to acknowledge that the fantasy, well, it usually omits the gritty parts. It leaves out the part where the Wi-Fi crashes 10 minutes before a client call, or where you're frantically writing ad copy at 4:30 a.m. because of time zone differences.
And that is exactly why I'm so excited about today's deep dive. We're not just scrolling through Instagram looking at filtered photos of avocado toast.
Right.
We're digging into a specific stack of research, and it's anchored by this really comprehensive article from Carter Excursions and Travel. The headline is, 7 Signs a Travel Side Hustle is Right for You. But honestly, as I was reading it, it felt less like a listicle and more like a personality test for a very specific kind of entrepreneur.
I agree completely. It draws a pretty hard line in the sand. It distinguishes between someone who loves vacations and someone who is built to monetize travel.
Ah, okay.
Because, and this is the core takeaway right off the bat, loving pizza doesn't mean you should open a pizzeria.
That is the distinction we need to nail down today. So we're going to test the listeners, and honestly, we're going to test ourselves. If we strip away the romance of the travel, what are the actual practical indicators that you can turn this into a business?
Well, the source material starts with something that sounds simple, but I think it carries a lot of weight.
What's that?
Cultural curiosity. It sounds a bit soft, doesn't it? Like, be curious. It sounds like something a guidance counselor would say.
Yeah, a little bit.
But in a business context, this is actually about market research. The source argues that to monetize travel, you can't just be a passive observer.
Right.
Think about the typical vacationer. They go to a resort, they sit by the pool, maybe they take one guided tour that picks them up at the lobby. That is consumption.
You're consuming the destination like a product.
Correct. But the side hustler, the producer, has a deep-seated desire to immerse. They're looking for the why and the how. They aren't just eating the local dish, they're in the kitchen asking about the spice blend. They are engaging with local communities, not just, looking at them through a bus window.
So if you're the person who's content with the top 10 tourist spots list on TripAdvisor, and you just check them off one by one, you're probably a customer, not a creator.
That's a fair assessment. The source specifically mentions participating in festivals and learning about lifestyles. If you're going to create value, whether that's a blog post, a tour, a customized itinerary, you need to uncover something that isn't already on the first page of Google. And that requires aggressive curiosity. You're gathering insights that other people are too shy, too busy, or maybe just too comfortable to find.
You're basically gathering data points that you can later sell.
That is it. You're turning an experience into intellectual property.
Now, closely tied to this curiosity is the second sign, which honestly might be a deal breaker for the introverts among us.
Oh, yeah.
The source is pretty adamant that you need to be a social butterfly.
This is the networking component. And I know networking is a corporate buzzword that makes people cringe, but in travel, it is. It's survival. You cannot build a travel business in a vacuum. The text emphasizes connecting with fellow travelers to share resources, but critically, connecting with locals.
It lists some specific actions here: attending travel meetups, going to conferences, joining online forums. It sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
It sounds like the opposite of relaxing on a beach.
It is work. That's the reality check. If you want to monetize this, you are effectively in sales. You're building a web of trust. The source explicitly mentions volunteering for projects that align with your travel goals.
And why is that?
To expand your contact list.
So If I recommend a hotel to a client, I'm not just reading reviews online like anyone else could. I ideally know the manager or I've met someone who's stayed there.
Or you have a contact on the ground. That's the leverage. That's what people pay for. If you're the type of person who puts on noise-canceling headphones the second you get to the airport and keeps them on until you land back home, you might struggle with this.
Right.
A lot of the opportunities, being a travel agent, a guide, an influencer, they're fundamentally people-centric jobs. You are the bridge between the traveler and the experience.
You have to be willing to be the mayor of everywhere you go.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
You're building a little community wherever you land. And that leads right into the third personality trait mentioned in the article, a love for adventure.
Now, I need you to clarify this for me. Does adventure mean I need to be jumping out of planes? Because my relationship with gravity is strictly professional.
Ah.
I prefer to stay on the ground.
Well, it helps if you are willing to step out of your comfort zone. But it doesn't always mean being an adrenaline junkie. The source does list hiking remote areas, skydiving, bungee jumping.
Okay, so there is some adrenaline involved.
Sure, but it also lists urban exploration like street art tours.
Yeah.
The underlying economic principle here is novelty. If you are going to sell travel content, you need to show people something they haven't seen. You need to be the scout.
The scout, I like that image. You go out, you face the chaos, and you come back with the map.
You take the risk so the client doesn't have to, or so the client feels safe enough to try it. If you stick to the safe, well-worn path, you're competing with millions of other people and, tons of free content.
Right.
But if you're willing to try the weird food, hike the difficult trail, or navigate the confusing bus system, you have a story. And stories sell.
Okay, let's pivot to the part everyone is actually here for. The money. We've established you need to be curious, social, and brave. But does it pay? The source actually breaks down some hard numbers, and I love it when we get specific data, because usually this travel hustle topic is all smoke and mirrors.
It is refreshing to see realistic ranges. They categorize the income into a few streams, and the variance is really interesting because it shows different business models.
So what's first?
First, there's the classic travel blogging.
The influencer dream. I posted a picture of my latte. Where's my check?
If only it were that easy. The source estimates this stream brings in between $500 and $2,000 per month.
Okay, so let's pause on that. $500 to $2,000. That is decent side money. It covers groceries, maybe rent in a cheaper country, or car payment.
For sure.
But it is not private jet money.
No. And we need to contextualize that effort. To make $2,000 a month from a blog usually requires substantial traffic to generate ad revenue, or a very loyal audience for affiliate marketing.
It's a long game.
It's a slow burn. It takes a long time to build.
Okay, what's next? Then you have the part-time travel agent.
And this is where the numbers jump significantly. The source suggests a range of $1,000 to $5,000 per month.
Whoa, that is a big difference. That pushes into full-time salary territory for a lot of people, just done on a part-time basis.
It does.
So why the big gap?
Because the transactional value is higher. You're earning commissions on bookings. If you book a family on a $10,000 Disney cruise, your cut is substantial compared to someone clicking a 50-cent ad on a blog.
Makes sense.
It requires more training, access to software, and liability coverage. But the financial upside is much faster than building a blog audience from zero.
And the third stream mentioned.
Selling travel guides. They estimate this at $200 to $1,000 per month.
That feels like a nice passive add-on. You write the PDF once, put it on your site, and it sells while you sleep.
In theory, yes. But the source frames all of this financial talk in a very healthy way. It isn't about getting rich quick.
Right.
It talks about using this money for specific goals, paying off debts, saving for the future, or funding the next adventure.
It's a flywheel. You travel to create content. The content makes money.
And the money funds the travel. Precisely. And the source makes a great point about budgeting. Running this hustle teaches you financial discipline. You stop seeing money just as something to spend on souvenirs. You start seeing it as capital.
Yeah.
You ask yourself, do I buy this expensive dinner, or do I use that money to upgrade my website hosting or run a Facebook ad?
You become the CFO of your own life.
You have to. If you don't manage the cash flow, the trip ends.
So we have the personality profile and the financial potential. But what are we actually doing day to day? If I decide to do this, what skills do I need to download into my brain? The source calls this the skill stack.
Right. They highlight three main buckets: content, hard skills, and tech. Let's start with content, because everyone with a smartphone thinks they're a content creator these days.
I have a camera, therefore I am a photographer.
Exactly. The sign mentioned in the article is that you genuinely enjoy writing or content creation. It's not a chore for you.
Mm.
The avenues mentioned are blogging, creating those travel guides, print, or online, and photography.
Specifically with photography, the source notes you can sell photos to publications or use them to enhance your own blogs.
Yeah.
I assume the bar for quality is pretty high.
It is. The source mentions investing in quality camera equipment and learning about composition. If your photos are blurry or poorly lit, they aren't going to sell the dream.
Right.
In a visual economy, your images are your storefront. If the storefront looks dirty or disorganized, nobody comes in to buy what you're selling.
Okay, but what if I'm not a great writer and I fumble with a DSLR camera? Am I out? Can I still do this?
Not at all. This is where the marketable hard skills come in. You don't have to create media. You can provide a service.
Ah,
The source explicitly mentions teaching. If you're proficient in a language, or you're good at cooking, or even photography itself, you can teach those skills while you travel.
I love the idea of a traveling teacher. Today we are in Italy making pasta. Next week we are in Thailand making pad thai.
It's a great model because you're selling an interaction, not just a file. And then there's the planning aspect. If you are the person in your friend group who always creates the Excel spreadsheet for the trip,
That's me.
finds the best flights, and books the hotels, that is a marketable skill.
The source calls this travel planning expertise.
And honestly, the majority of travelers hate planning. It's stressful. It involves logistics and timing. If you can take that headache away, they will pay you. You're selling peace of mind.
Which bridges nicely into guiding, lead tours through historical sites or nature reserves. It's taking that knowledge inside your head and packaging it as a live performance.
But, and here's the friction point for a lot of people, you can't do any of this effectively in the modern world without the third bucket. You have to be tech savvy.
I feel like this is where people get stuck. They love the travel, but they hate the screen.
And the source is blunt about this. Modern travel hustles are digital. You cannot escape it.
So what are we talking about? Do I need to learn to code?
Not coding necessarily,
Okay.
but you need to master management and marketing tools.
Oh,
The source lists specific apps: TripIt, Google Trips, Tripcase.
okay.
These are for managing itineraries. If you're an agent or planner, these are your command centers. You need to know where your client is supposed to be at 3:00 p.m. in Tokyo when you are sitting
Yeah.
in New York.
Okay, organization apps. I can handle
Yep.
that. That's just being organized.
But then there's the marketing side, and the source throws out some acronyms that usually make people's eyes glaze over.
Oh, yeah. SEO and PPC.
The alphabet soup of digital misery.
Totally.
It sounds dry, but let's look at it this way. SEO, search engine optimization, is just a signpost. Imagine you build the most beautiful hotel in the world, but you build it in the middle of a vast desert with no roads leading to it. SEO is building the road. It's ensuring that when someone types best tacos in Mexico City into Google, your article actually shows up.
If you aren't on page one, you basically don't exist.
Effectively, yes.
Right.
And PTC pay-per-click is just buying a billboard on that road to get traffic faster.
Got it.
The source also mentions email marketing. This is crucial because social media algorithms change constantly. You don't own your Instagram followers, the platform does, but you own your email list.
Right.
That is your direct line to your customers to nurture that relationship.
So you're not just a traveler. You're a digital marketer who happens to be in a nice location.
That is the job description, which brings us to social media. It's not just posting a sunset. It's using hashtags strategically, analyzing what time your audience is awake, engaging with comments. It is active management.
This sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
We're talking about managing clients, fixing SEO, posting content, all while trying to actually travel.
Which brings us to the logistics of the lifestyle. The dream is lying on the beach. The reality is often hunting for a power outlet in a crowded cafe. The source highlights flexibility as a massive sign that this life is right for you.
It talks about remote work options, right? The ability to work from anywhere.
Yes, coffee shops, co-working spaces. The source specifically mentions the Planet business opportunity here as an example of a structure designed to offer that kind of autonomy, building a business that moves with you. But with that freedom comes a huge challenge: time management.
I can imagine. If I am in Paris, I want to be eating croissant and seeing the Eiffel Tower, not debugging my website.
That is the trap. The source emphasizes prioritizing tasks based on urgency. You have to be disciplined enough to say, I'm going to work for 4 hours this morning so I can explore this afternoon.
Yeah.
If you can't self-regulate, the business collapses because you're too busy having fun, or the travel collapses because you're too busy working.
And it's not just about your own discipline, is it? I mean, travel is messy. Trains get canceled, luggage gets lost.
Constantly. That's why adaptability is listed as a critical survival trait. The source gives examples like last-minute cancellations, visa issues, or sudden weather
Oh,
changes.
the weather.
Yeah.
You plan a beautiful outdoor photo shoot for a client, and a monsoon hits.
A tourist complains, a travel entrepreneur adapts.
Right.
The source suggests a mindset shift here that I really like. Turn the disaster into content. If it rains, you don't sulk. You explore indoor activities and write a guide titled What to Do in This City When It Rains.
That is brilliant. You turn the problem into the product. Saved by the rain, the best museums you would have missed.
That's the spirit. It's about resilience. If you fall apart every time a train is delayed, this is not the side hustle for you. You have to be able to roll with the punches.
So we have the personality, the skills, the tech, and the resilience. But how do you keep this going long term? How do you ensure this isn't just a one-year gap year that drains your savings?
The source points to growth and sustainability. And the first pillar of that is lifelong learning. The travel industry changes fast. New destinations pop up, visa rules change, marketing algorithms shift.
So you have to keep studying. You're a perpetual student.
The source suggests gaining certifications, whether that's in travel planning or becoming a destination expert.
Why does a certification matter? Can't I just say, I know the place?
Trust. If you have a badge on your website that says Certified Japan Specialist, that carries weight. It separates you from the hobbyist. It tells the client, I have studied this. I am a professional.
And it lets you charge more.
It allows you to charge more. Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of support, the source talks about having a support system, which seems surprising for a job that is often solo and remote.
It is vital. Friends and family aren't just there for emotional support, though that is important when you're lonely in a hotel room.
Sure.
The source points out they're often your first readers, your first promoters. They are the ones who share your blog post or recommend you to their friends.
Your mom is your first marketing department.
And your most loyal one. But
You're right.
beyond the emotional support, you need a roadmap. The source encourages creating a proper business plan. You need to define what success looks like. Is it purely financial? Do you need to hit $5,000 a month to survive? Or is it experiential? Do you just need enough to cover the plane tickets?
Yeah, it grounds the dream in reality. It stops it from being a wish and makes it a target. The source actually wraps up with a quote from Walt Disney that I think fits perfectly here.
Oh, yeah?
The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing.
It's simple, but it cuts through the noise. We can analyze the signs all day. We can debate SEO strategies and camera lenses. But eventually, you have to book the ticket, write the post, or sign the client. Action is the only metric that counts.
So let's zoom out. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from the romantic idea of travel to the nitty-gritty of PPC advertising and visa issues.
If we synthesize all of this, the message is clear. A travel side hustle is a marriage of passion and practicality. It requires the soul of an explorer, but the mind of a business owner. You need to be culturally curious and adventurous, yes, but you also need to be tech-savvy, disciplined with your time, and extremely resilient when things go wrong.
It's not just about the destination. It's about the business you build around it. It's about viewing the world not just as a playground, but as a workplace.
And realizing that workplace can be anywhere, provided you have the skills to make it valuable to others.
So I want to leave the listener with a bit of a challenge today. Based on everything we just discussed, writing, planning, photography, teaching,
Here's the test.
if you were dropped in a foreign country right now, today, and you had to make money to buy your dinner, which one of those skills would you use? Which one is actually money in your pocket right now?
That is the question that tells you where to start.
Think about that, and maybe start planning that next trip with a slightly different eye. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Safe travels.
See you on the next deep dive.
That's it for today's Meet Sean. If this helped, follow the show and share this episode with one person who needs it. See you next time.